Alright, so this is what we're going to be installing. New shock absorbers on the Tri-Glide. They're 14.5 inch. Got them from Shoxs. Ta-da! So let's get going and get the old ones off and put the new ones on. Okay, the first thing we got to do is we're going to bleed the air out of the shocks. So we just go over here and bleed the air out and get a nice finger full of oil. Isn't that special? Alright, let's kind of go over what we're going to do now. So we're going to remove this shock and the other shock. We'll do that by disengaging this air line here. We'll remove this bolt. Then we've got to probably remove what Harley calls the pinch block. And there's this bolt, and there's another bolt underneath here. That's what people call the lift kit when they buy those lift kits. Harley calls this a pinch block. So that's what we're going to do. Unfortunately, we do have to probably remove or loosen these enough that we can get this bottom bolt out here, because we can't get a wrench or at least a socket set back here, and I'm not really sure how I'm going to really be able to get a good torque on that because I don't have one of those wrench type torques. So I'll be able to torque this one, but I'm not sure about this one down here. I'll just feel how this one felt and then torque that one down there. So let's get taking it apart. To pull this wire, you press down on the little rubber piece and this piece comes right out. Now, there is oil in those shocks, so when we take them off, we want to keep them straight up in the air until I can plug this hole right here, because that hole is open and the oil will run out. How do I know this? Because I did it on my other motorcycle, replaced the shocks, had the same issue. Okay, that shock is out. Let's go after these pinch plate. Alright, since these bolts are so long, I'm going to go to some air power here. Alright, that's all there is to taking the shock off. Okay, now that that side's off, let's go get the other side. Okay, first thing we're going to do is we're going to loosen this top bolt. Nice and loose. I'm going to switch. Ratchets. The bolts on the pinch bracket. Ooh, there's this e-brake assembly here, and it looks like it's all intact, so I think I can take it off and move it out of the way just enough to get a socket on that wrench. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm going to remove this bracket, and there's two bolts that just hold it on. I don't make anything easy for you. Alright, and we got that. Now I got clearance, I can get the socket underneath there. Get this thing off. I hope. There we go. Okay, let's continue getting the shock out here. Now, so I put a little air hose in there and put a nail in it so the oil doesn't come out. So, Yankee ingenuity. So let's get this guy loosened up. Okay. And let's go to power. Okay. That's that shock. Alright, now we're going to install the new shock. Now the number part is going to go down and it's going to face the back. So the way I have it laying right now, the new shock's going to go right here. And we've got spacers that we got put in between here. So plus we're going to put a little blue thread lock on here. Alright, so we got a spacer, a new shock, got a spacer, and we'll put it on the bracket. A little power assist here. Okay. Now we're going to put the top screw on, top bolt on. Again, a spacer, a thread lock, another spacer, and put it in the hole. Alright, now let's get the pinch block on. A little thread lock on those bolts. Put that in. Those two in. Alright, we'll get them tightened up. Okay, we'll torque these guys down. The shock bolts are supposed to be 55 to 60 foot-pounds, and the pinch bolts are supposed to be 41 to 45. So we'll get this one torqued down. Okay. Alright, now we'll get the other side on. Because these shocks have got these spacers in here, I was able to torque that bolt down. So now we'll get the top bolt in. thread lock. Alright, now we'll work on getting the pinch plate in. Alright, now we've got the Shox up on both of them, and that the parking brake plate was reattached down there, right down there. Those Torx wrenches were 41 to 45 pounds, just like the pinch bolts, or for the pinch bolts for the pinch plate. So now let's work on getting the exhaust system put back together and hopefully putting this guy all together. One thing I did want to say is when I was putting this pinch plate on, the two lower bolts, I got them in, but this one was slightly cocked toward the rear. So I actually had to put a floor jack on it underneath here and then push on the bottom of the shock here, and that brought it in line. And then I was able to get the bolt into the in. So just wanted to do that, and the reason I'm saying that is because you sometimes have got to move this stuff around, you know, either with a jack or something in order to make the thing fit. Okay, so the project is complete, and I'll tell you, it wasn't a lot of fun. To mount the 14.5-inch Shox, I had to totally almost disassemble the entire exhaust system. Now it's back on right now, and I wasn't about to film all of that boring stuff, but I basically had to take the whole exhaust system apart, but only the rear header pipe up on the cylinder. I had that loose. I left the front one on. Every other bolt had to come out. Every piece of the muffler had to come out in order to get the mufflers to slip back on. Problem is I can't remember if I said it in the other videos, but I mean right here the frame practically touches the muffler. And at first I thought that these shocks would not work, but then after conferring with some friends on Facebook on the Tri-Glide group, they convinced me that yeah, it will work, you just might have to take the muffler apart. So I did, and everything now is all back together, and it's time to put the body back on. So I'm not going to film that because that's just taking it off in reverse, putting on the 8 bolts, putting on the tour pack, and that's about it. I will say though that once you got the mufflers and everything off to put the shocks on, to get the muffler pieces to go back on, I did have to put the tires on and let the weight of the bike sit against those shocks, and that did help bring the swing arm down so I could get the muffler pipes on. So, oh, and another note, when I did set the wheels back down, I did take out all the tension on the spring so that it would go down as low as it would go, and then dialed it back up to what I would have had. I would say, if there was one thing that I wish that they did have, and I don't know if it could be done, but the shocks have grooves down at the bottom there. If you can see the hand turn, that's where you turn at the knob right there, and there are grooves there. It would be nice if there was some like little tool that would help you turn those grooves. You can do it by hand, but I don't know, I guess, you know, depending upon how strong your wrists are, it can be a little tough to get done. But just another helpful tip there of what I did. And if you do tackle the 14.5-inch Super Shox, I hope this helps you a lot. That's about it. Hope you enjoyed it. And if you do it yourself, I started today at 11:15, and it is now 4:15. So it took me about 5 hours to do it. Of course, that was a lot of trial and error. I'm sure I could figure it out a lot faster if I did it again, but that's what it took me to do it, and good luck. Alright, that's all there is to taking the shock off. And we'll get this other piece off. And like I said, keep the shock upright. We live and learn.